So if you look at in the box, look at this. Maintain your mind as broad as the empty sky. The main point of that is the emptiness. Can you keep your mind empty of prejudice, bias, hatred, greed, delusions all the time? And when you do certain things, if you can keep your mind free from biases, prejudices, and the selfishness and so on, then you can create happiness, whatever you do and wherever you are. But if your mind is not free, it's not empty of those three poisons of greed, anger, hatred, and delusions, I'm sorry that I guarantee your life is going to be miserable. You do a lot of things, eventually it will bring you pain. So our ideal here we learn from Master Chung's teaching is this: try to maintain your mind free from all those unwholesome states like greed, and anger, hatred, and the delusions, meaning which includes ignorance. Ignorance is something very bad. If you don't know certain things, it causes a lot of pain. Sometimes you lose a lot of money too. Ignorance. That's why, like Francis Bacon, or the British philosopher, said, knowledge is power. However, knowledge, if that is not based on the sound mind, can be the lethal weapon. Right? Look, some Harvard graduate made like a Unabomber. You know the Unabomber. Have you heard of Unabomber? Young people, you never heard of Unabomber. Harvard graduate who made a bomb and sent it to people and killed people. I think still he's in jail. Knowledge. Of course, when you go to college and universities, you learn a lot of knowledge. But if the mind of the person is out of order, bad, then knowledge can be used for wrong purposes. Sharp kitchen knife is a nice thing to cut meat and vegetables and so on. But if that knife is held by a burglar, it could be used as a lethal weapon. Isn't that correct? Knowledge too. The world is in trouble, not because in lack of knowledge, but because of the moral sense of the people in the world. Second is brighten your mind, as bright as the sun and the moon. The brightening your mind has a deep root in Buddhism. The word Buddhism comes from Buddha. Buddha means enlightenment, awakening, Buddha. So when you say the Buddha, the Buddha means the enlightened one. Of course, the Buddha's name was Starta, and the family name was Gautama, belonging to Shakya clan. You see? So the Buddhism means the religion of enlightenment. Enlightenment to what? Enlightenment to your own Buddha mind, the Buddha nature. The greatest treasure is in your mind. In your mind. Once you are enlightened to your own Buddha nature, you will be the richest, wealthiest person in the whole world. Why? Money, the fancy cars, and like mansions, political power, all those things are not you. They are just as good as a handful of dust from the point of truth. But once you are enlightened to your own Buddha nature, Buddha mind, you become a living Buddha. And only when you are really a living Buddha, you can create happiness all the time with the enlightened mind. So we have to brighten our mind. And in Buddhism, there's a way of brightening your mind, being enlightened to your mind. And this temple is supposed to show how you can be enlightened to your own Buddha mind. Wouldn't that be wonderful if you can be enlightened to your own Buddha mind just by listening to one Dharma talk? Sadly, that's not the way it is. So, And third is the let your mind flow as leisurely as a stream. The flowing water does not fight, just it flows. If you see people around, some people's mind is like a piece of a branch of dead wood. You know what I mean? It breaks. It doesn't bend. It doesn't bend. In many life situations, sometimes you have to bend. You have to make concessions. If you don't make concessions, you lose a lot. And the meaning of the brightening of your mind includes something like this. You become very wise, and then you know that sometimes you have to lose when you are supposed to win, you have to lose it. And if you try to win where you should not, you lose dearly. And I gave this example many times. It was like 1977 in Hialeah area in Miami Herald showed. There's a couple driving, maybe early 40s, and then on the right lane there's a young two, maybe early 20s. And this man made some kind of stupid move, on the highways. It happens all the time. And then the two young men started making fingers. You know what I mean, fingers, right? American people know what making fingers, right? Constantly following, and so this man made a mistake. He thought he had to teach a lesson to those. There was a mistake. And he pulled the car to the shoulder, and then fighting broke out. And the fighting was so horrible, his wife ran for help. Unfortunately, she didn't have a cell phone, which you have now, to call police. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. She had to run quite a distance to find the telephone. And when she came back, the two young guys fled, and only her husband lying dead, beaten to death. This is a small but very important, great lesson. And what is the lesson? When you live in a world, imperfect world, sometimes you must make concessions. Okay? Concessions. Like what? Like water. Water has many virtues. First of all, water gives you life. What happens if you don't drink water for how many days? You'll be dead, right? Water. So some people think water is life itself. Some people think that way. We think we are great. Whenever in the kitchen you get the water or the water faucet. If you don't drink that one for maybe 5 or 6 days or 10 days, you'll be dead. So life-giving is the water. Also, water goes down instead of going up. What goes up is fire, right? Fire goes up. People have the mind which is like the fire. Never, concedes. All the time beating up the others, and then only then they feel happy, satisfied. And there's a big mistake and delusion. If your mind functions like water, then in certain situations you must make concessions. So in the Confucian Analects, Lunyu, on one chapter, section 19, it says, virtue is never lonely. Virtue has always neighbors. I never thought in such a short, maybe 9 Chinese characters, is a truth. Like what? When I was young in Korea, I was told you have to be virtuous, a man of virtue. So I asked, how can I accumulate the virtue? And said, make concessions in certain situations. If you make concessions, that is the essence of virtue. Are you with me? And if you don't know how to make concessions, you will have no neighbors. Imagine living with no neighbors. Nobody is out there to help you. Are you with me? So the truth which we learn from the Lunyu, the Confucian Analects, virtue is never lonely. It always has what? Neighbors. Always. There are some bad neighbors, all right, but you see, bad neighbors are better than no neighbors. Imagine you are on the desert, Sahara Desert, no trees. Trees are neighbors. No trees, no grass. Okay, so here, let your mind flow as leisurely as a stream means behave like your mind must behave like a water, flowing water. It doesn't fight. It is always making concessions, going down. You know what meaning of going down, right? Everybody wants to go up. What happens when the house is burnt down by fire? Cold ash, right? But if the water, as we read in 33, water drops make streams, eventually seas, okay? And on the sea, huge ships can pass on, and also numberless fish can live. Virtue. We need men of virtue, not men of knowledge anymore. Knowledge is important. I always admire like Bill Gates' knowledge. He figured out how to make those word processing work, and especially these days iPhone. That iPhone, I don't know when I'm going to get one iPhone. It's so wonderful. This is all the result of knowledge. Okay, knowledge. The science, the Latin word scientia, which is now in science, means knowledge. Science means knowledge. As I said though, too much knowledge with no good moral sense makes it very dangerous, like a sharp knife held by a burglar. We need more of the moral training. And so that if you have your mind, if you can keep your mind all the time as empty as the empty sky, and also your wisdom as bright as the sun and the moon, and if your mind behaves like a water, you are a living Buddha. And I guarantee you that your life will be very, very happy. You can even change a hell to paradise if you have this mind. So this year I'm going to keep this one as our goal. Okay, goal. And if you look at in between the lines, there are Sanskrit word samadhi, and also the second line prajna, which is wisdom, and the third line shila, means precepts or morality. Those are the three moral perfections of the Buddha's teaching. Okay. So I hope that you do some work so that eventually you will attain the three great powers. So that in any situation you can keep your mind empty or broad. You hear the word, he is narrow-minded, right? Haven't you heard that? He is narrow-minded. Mm-hmm. Narrow-minded is no good. You should have a broad mind to create happiness, as broad as the sky. What is the method? Well, we have to find out more in details slowly. And I wish you the best of luck to achieve the three great powers, which Master Chung taught. And today is the first Dharma meeting. The last one was a New Year's Day celebration. And I hope that you can keep on cultivating these three aspects of the mind.